No. I thought Meltzer might have mentioned that I'd had my hair cut in the newsletter this week. I'm sure he did a 2-page special when Steve and Larson got their eyebrows threaded, but whatever. Here's your wrestling news. WWE's next cinematic match has been revealed. Cody has teased some unusual future challenges for the TNT Championship, and a WWE pay-per-view could be returning next month. Find out which one in a little bit. The Horror Show at Extreme Rules. I can't quite get a purchase on that title myself. We know for a fact on that night we are getting a cinematic match between Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt taking place in a swamp. But it turns out we're going to be getting a second cinematic extravaganza, as reported by Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer. Dave says the plan right now is also to tape the Eye for an Eye match between Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins. It's got a lot of attention, this has, because of the stipulation they talked about. They are billing the match as one that can only end when one person pulls the other's eye out. The idea is to do a taped match and use some form of CGI effects to simulate an eye being pulled out as the finish. When it was mentioned, when Ray said on Raw, you know, ojo de ojo, not ocho de ocho, because that's 8 for 8, like I said, ungraded. When he said, like, I'm going to pull your eye out of your socket, I thought, that's something you can't deliver on. Strange thing to say. But when that turns out to be the stipulation, the loser is the one who has his eye pulled out, I'm amazed by this. We mentioned Cultaholic that possibly some sort of animatronics, some Jim Henson type shenanigan with an eye sort of rolling across the ring could be how this goes. But the use of CGI could be hilarious, because I kind of want it to be bad CGI. I kind of want it to be like a really bad, like, cutout of an eye rolling across the screen as Seth or Ray goes, "Oh no, my eye! Come back, my eye!" It's one of them where you probably could double down on the stupid. And they might, I don't know. I'm very open-minded. 2020 has been a hell of a drug, and to have a match that ends when somebody pulls the other's eye out, I'm open-minded. Let's leave it like that for now. I'm the optimistic one in the group, aren't I? I am open-minded. Elsewhere, Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, FTR, the latest addition to AEW's tag team roster, was chatting on Inside the Ropes, and they talked a bit about some heat they got upon their arrival in AEW. They say, "We did the Jim Cornette podcast, and the next day AEW management were so mad at us because we did Cornette's podcast. And that's okay with us. We don't care. If we make friends, we make friends, and we have made a few. But if you want to get mad at us because we're trying to make AEW a better place and make it more money, then we welcome that." So yeah, so a bit of heat on FTR upon their arrival for doing Jim Cornette's podcast. Cornette has very much been, for the longest time, a bit of a lightning rod when it comes to wrestling. I ain't going to say too much because Jim Cornette snitches are everywhere, and they're my favourite people. If you watch the episode of Straight to Hell I did, there's nothing I love more than somebody finding a bit of wrestling that's a bit off the beaten track and tagging Jim Cornette going, "Look at this, Jim, this goes against all your values." I ain't got the energy. But yeah, they're very, very upset with him for going on to Cornette's podcast, it seems. I'm sure everything's fine now, by the way. Staying with AEW, good to see the TheFTW making an appearance on Fyter Fest Night 2. This was the belt that Taz presented to Brian Cage, a belt that goes all the way back to the late 90s in ECW. A few more details on the FTW Championship making a resurgence from PW Insider. They say ECW never actually owned that title. There was a few people suggesting that maybe there would be some issue from WWE for using a belt used in ECW, which they owned, but apparently they never owned it anyway, and it actually was never had any connection to ECW other than the fact that an ECW guy was the one that bankrolled it. Taz himself designed, created, and owned the belt. He also holds the copyright to the design as well, which basically means he can do with it whatever he wants to do with it, and right now the decision is manages to put it on Brian Cage as the FTW champion, the third FTW champion in history. I like the idea of it. I think I said in the news yesterday or the day before. It was definitely yesterday. They're all blurring into one at the moment, aren't they? I said in the news yesterday that I feel like this could have been something that you could have done with Brian after Fight for the Fallen. Had he lost to Jon Moxley, you could have then had the bit where he goes, well, Brian Cage didn't lose fairly, so he's now the FTW champ instead. You could have done that, but we will see what they do with it. Nice bit of nostalgia to see the FTW belt back on the television. Staying with Fyter Fest Night 2, Chris Jericho on his Instagram was very, very complimentary of the work he and Orange Cassidy did. He posted a picture on Instagram and said, hashtag Jericho versus Orange was one of my favourite matches of my career. Orange Cassidy did good, just not good enough. See you around, kid. There will be no rematch. If you haven't watched the match yet, take time to do so today. I really enjoyed the chemistry that these two had together. Orange Cassidy, there's something about him. I interviewed Effie for Desert Island Graps on the Cultaholic podcast feed, and Effie is adamant, and many others are as well. I think Mark Henry's been saying some great things about him too, that this is going to be the guy that is going to take over wrestling. You know, once the ball starts rolling with him, and a match like this is a great catalyst for that. He is a guy that may take over the industry, and I know there will be some anti-Orange Cassidy folk watching this, rolling their eyes so hard that they do a full 360. Stranger things have happened. We've got a match in 2 weeks where the winner is the one that pulls the other guy's eye out. Stranger things have happened in wrestling. Gallows and Anderson's Talk and Shop Mania is on August the 1st. This is an independent wrestling show that they are putting on, and they're already getting into the rigors of it. Pro Wrestling Sheet have shared some images from some stuff that they're recording ahead of time, and there you see Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson dressed as Tex Ferguson, or back to Sex Ferguson now, and Chad Too Bad fighting on top of a worn down graffitied hearse. It's good to see those two back. Of course, you may recognise Sex Ferguson, aka Luke Gallows' alter ego. They brought him to prominence as part of Tex Ferguson, Southpaw Regional Wrestling, but he's played that character on the indies beforehand, and it's about time they made a comeback. And Chad Too Bad's great fun as well. In fact, it was Carl Anderson who posted a video on Twitter as well, which showed some of the set for where they've been filming stuff that included that worn out hearse, a couple of other random props, and a big rubber chicken. Can't wait for Talk and Shop Mania. Codys TNT Invitational has certainly caused a lot of rumblings within the wrestling industry, particularly the fact that it's like an open challenge for anybody within the business. Now, quite a few have taken the opportunity to shout very loud to get their opportunity. One of those that's been shouting very loud is the man that literally rules ass. It's Warhorse. Warhorse is ace. One of those characters that just absolutely owns social media, and it's been all over the place up until obviously then the pandemic shut down wrestling. But Warhorse continues to make a name for himself, and he's been shouting very loud about getting an opportunity at Codys TNT Championship. I think he's replied to every single tweet that he sent and sent out numerous videos calling for a match. It was on Twitter where somebody mentioned Eddie Kingston to Cody that finally hinted that we may be getting that match. So Cody was asked on Twitter about future challengers, maybe seeing Eddie Kingston from NWA Power, among other places, as a possible challenger down the line. And Cody responds with, I'll say this, Arn, TK and QT Marshall pinpoint challenges for the Open Challenge, and against the wishes of those not wanting to reward folks going into business for themselves, I am considering him. I'm referring to Eddie Kingston. He goes on to say, I'm considering him and the other one who rules my mentions. Stay tuned. Cody Warhorse confirmed. Now, there's been quite a few people who have been calling for a shot at Codys TNT Championship, and it would be remiss of me if I didn't use this platform to speak directly to Cody with a challenge myself. Not me, not me, no, no, no. Cody, if you happen to be watching this, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Gene Money. Gene Money is a violent entertainment machine. He is the damn dirty dog, hence the collar, but he's also safe, hence the nipple plasters. He has defeated wrestlers using a Ghostbusters ghost popper, and when he's not doing that, he is using his trusty finishing move named after a famous celebrity chef here in the UK, the Ainsley Lariat. Now, if you believe that AEW is ready for a bit of Milton Keynes glamour, then use the hashtag Gene for TNT Champ. Cheers, Cody. Love the tattoo. Gene for TNT Champ. And finalamo, we could see the return of a WWE pay-per-view next month. So on August the 30th, there is a WWE Network special planned, according to PW Insider. Now, we don't know what that will be, but it is the week after SummerSlam, which is now being held at the Performance Center as well. One of those suggestions, one of those rumors doing the rounds about what this pay-per-view could be, from numerous sources, including Pro Wrestling Unlimited, is that August the 30th could see the return of WWE Evolution, the all-women's pay-per-view that was held a few years back, breaking new ground within WWE. First time WWE have put on an all-women show. Obviously, they've been all over the world for quite a while, but this is the first time WWE had done it, headlined by Ronda Rousey. However, Ronda's not a part of WWE right now, so she wouldn't be a part of a proposed Evolution sequel. One name that is being floated around to be a part of that, should this come to pass, is one that we've talked about quite a bit here on Cultaholic News. That would be former Impact World Heavyweight Champion Tessa Blanchard. It's been reported by several people that Blanchard is either in talks or quietly close to signing with WWE. At this point, there's been nothing out there to concrete confirm or deny those, but you have to believe, despite the reputation that may come, there is a lot of talk around Tessa Blanchard. So if she ends up going to somewhere like WWE, I can't say I would be massively surprised personally. But we will see. If they are going to be doing Evolution 2 on the 30th of August, they're going to have to start making announcements around it in the next week or so, I do believe. So stay with us here at Cultaholic. When we know more about it, you'll know more about it too. There's your news for the week. Once again, I'd like to say thank you for continuing to support what we do here at Cultaholic. It has been a heck of a 2020. And there are times where it doesn't feel like it's letting up, and there's times where it feels like this is just it now, but there will always be a light. Sometimes it's just a little bit harder to seek it. Spend some time this weekend and enjoying the little things. Not the big things, enjoying the little things. I myself have had a wobbly week, to say the very least, and I'm going to spend the weekend enjoying some of the little things. That being the endless love from friends and family, relic hunting in Crash Bandicoot, and all of King George's solos in Hamilton. Those are three things that have certainly brightened up my week. And if they brighten yours too, then we are kindred souls. Have the most amazing weekend. Stay safe. Love you, bye.